Oh boy. Yep, boomerang already. There I am. So I've already said hi to Tentacle Pentacle. I've introduced Lee as my guest co-host. How you doing, Lee?
I'm doing all right, mate. Can you hear me all right?
I can. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
I saw that Dean came on and said, Dojo is muted? It's like, oh, great.
Dean with the win there. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Dean. Yeah. Hi, Ali. Thanks for being here. We've got Aardvark Creations here. Good day. And Joe M. Sontag is here, too. Thanks for joining us, Joe. Hope you are doing well, sir. Heard there's a bit of the coof going around, so hopefully you're going to get through that and get back to your show. And but not right now. Stay here with us.
Timing is everything.
That's right. So tonight we have Pedro Ang joining us, and we're going to be talking about his campaign for Tropical Magicks. Let's bring him up. Hello, Pedro. How are you, sir?
How are you doing, guys? I'm not muted, right?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Make fun of the old guy.
That's all right.
You're never going to live this down, Dojo.
I know. Every week it's something different, so eventually I'll learn.
Nah, dude, it's all in good fun. It's all in good
That's
fun.
right. Yep.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. I think it's an exciting campaign. I know that you've been working on other folks' campaigns, so it's great that you get to do your own very soon. Launching, I think you said you'll be launching next month, which is good. Maybe at the beginning of March, but either way, obviously we're going to be around to support you, but we want to have a look at what you've got going on so far.
Of course.
So let's do this. Let's go to, do you want me to play that quick trailer that you showed us a little bit ago?
Yeah. This is the teaser trailer for the mailing list.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do that then. I'm going to add that to stream. Hopefully that will work for us.
There you go.
Y llegó la que tenía que llegar. Lo que forman el pega-pega y lo que te ponen a gozar. Lo que pone la calentura lista para que se fomente la gozadera.
That is excellent, I gotta say.
Awesome.
I never heard of this campaign before, but once I saw that trailer, like I said to you backstage, I said, that's it, I'm in. Like, you see that fluidity, that movement of the dude transforming the rock into the shards, sending it back down towards the tanks. I'm like, there's, you got my money. That's all you got. I mean, that's all you got to do. A good bit of superhero action, some powers. I mean, that's all. Guys, Disney, everybody. That's all I want. Just some heroes. Come on, if you got heroes, I'm there.
That's good to hear. So, yeah, Tropical Magicks is a pet project. I've been thinking about it for a couple of years, but I really started working on it when Dan Fraga came into CG. Like that was my interest to CG. Just like being in this chat, seeing everybody like, okay, people can do comics by themselves and they're doing well. Well, how well can I do? Like, I've been an animator for 20 years, but I've always wanted to do comic books. But I mean, we all know how profitable it was like a couple of decades back. It's just like, no, you don't do that. But now it seems like, dude, if you're a cool dude and you deliver, you can basically make a good living out of this. So this is my first attempt. Let's see how well I do, right?
You see, I hope. Oh, go ahead, Lee.
I just say, a lot of people saying that it's not the first or second book even that you turn that profit on. It's the third one, and a lot of people say measure your success by the number of backers or the number of return backers. Like financially, Company Men didn't make back its money, but 250 sales for my first book, I'm pretty happy with that. If I can expand upon that next time, the time after, that's when I get in the black, so to speak. So. And I saw a quote by Zuby. I don't know if you guys know that English rapper Zuby, and it said too many people quit at things too early. Do your first, do your second, do your third, do your fourth book. Then decide if you're going to keep at it or not.
Yeah, it's probably going to take some time before this replaces my income, that's for sure. But, on the first campaign, it's a little bit of a loss, but that's largely due to postage. I'd say overall, it's to Australia. But largely it broke even, and I'm satisfied with that, because after all, if at the end of the day, I have a day job, this is a hobby. Someday I'd like it to be my job, but for the time being, this is a hobby, and a hobby that pays for itself is pretty darn cool. Because if I was a golfer or a fisherman or a hunter, that wouldn't be paying for itself.
Okay, maybe I should like quantify what I mean by success, because I mean I've been working in advertising my whole life. Okay, and I'm looking back, and all my legacies like tuna cans, diapers, detergent. I've never told stories that mean something to me. So if I sell 5 books, I'll be frolicking all the way to the waterfall that's like 20 minutes away from my house and back. And eventually, it's a marathon. It's not really a sprint. Like you really got to go in there, because people basically don't know you. So I'm right now, I'm a face on the internet, But eventually, once they get my book, hopefully they like it. They come for the second one, then I can start saying like, okay, I have a career as a comic book artist. But so far, I'm having a lot of fun, man. I'm having
when you first get that book from the printer, and you see your first comic book in print, even if nobody else has it yet, it's a pretty giddy feeling. I mean, it's like, not only did I make this, but there's my name on the cover of a comic book as one of the creators. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So,
indeed.
So I have Tropical Magicks, the sign up page pulled up. So let me see if I can do this now.
Yeah, do it.
I go there. Can you see it on screen right now? Or do I have to go back to sharing? No. Okay, hold on a second then. Let me go back to StreamYard. I got to do this and then this.
There you go.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so yes, Tropical Magicks. Make sure if you're looking for this, folks, you're spelling it with the CKS.
Yes.
It's number 1 by Pedro. Why don't you tell us a bit about it, Pedro? There's obviously this is a sign-up page, so we want everyone to sign up. It doesn't cost anybody anything, but tell us about the project, and we'll have a look at this art here on the page too.
Oh, awesome! No, actually, I'm sharing right now my screen. So
all right.
So you can see basically what. I like to start with the prologue, because that doesn't give
nice.
that much about the story, but it's more about the world building.
Okay.
So, guys. First off, the book is done. It's 72 pages, and it's all drawn and colored. It's only missing the lettering, and I have 2 candidates right now. I'll let know when I have the one, like Highlander. So. It's the dawn of the 22nd century, and the humans have attained a level of technology that basically nobody's poor anymore. So everything's supposed to be perfect, but all of a sudden, evolution kicks in, and magic awakens. But it's uncontrollable, so it's like a catastrophe. People are just like, there's like spontaneous explosions of magic, and people can die. It can happen anywhere, like in the office, in the gym, driving a car, running in the park, at church, and everybody can fall victim. So the governments of the world, seeing this, started rounding up the magic users and putting them to sleep.
Putting them to sleep as in cryogenic sleep, or putting them to sleep as in
yellow.
Cryogenic sleep. Yeah. No,
okay.
They're not sleeping with the fishes. Just
all right.
Cryogenics.
Not fitted with concrete boots.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that was supposed to be the solution, but obviously, every government created an institute to develop magic users into weapons.
Of course.
Thus starting the first spell war. So this is like the guys in training, and they develop a technology for them to siphon like each of their powers. So there's only 3 powers, like gravity, water control, and fire. Okay. And within these 3 powers, they basically all weaponized, and this technology drives them nuts. So as war breaks out, like technology, like weaponry, like conventional soldiers, like mean nothing to these magic users. They just destroy everything. And since this technology is driving the magic users crazy, it becomes a slaughter. And they turn against all the governments, I mean, they're being a bit more crueler and crueler. Just like this guy, like pouring blood out of soldiers. I don't know.
It's very cool.
Wow.
Loving this world building, man. It feels like you really put a lot of thought and time into it, and you've limited the world building. Some people just want to be like, it's just everything in the kitchen sink. You know, they don't want to they don't want to limit it and say, here's a finite world. Here's the limits of the powers that are available. Here's the limits of the types of powers and the range and the abilities and the scale of the powers. Because within those norms, once you establish those norms as a writer, you can butt characters up against that, bounce off those norms and create conflict. This is the problem with magic in comics. When it's all in, when Doctor Strange can wave his hands and make anything happen, how is there ever any conflict? You know, so I think this is really smart move on your behalf, making a not limited but a well-defined, clearly defined world to set your adventures in.
That's a very good point, Lee. If the magic user can pretty much do, you know, anything that fits the current situation, then what kind of struggle is that?
Exactly.
So you know, in the movie where Doctor Strange was throwing stepping discs in front of I think it was Hawkeye or Black Panther or somebody, giving them all of a sudden he has a spell that can do that. He's never used it before that we've seen. So I think it's great that you've got these three, and then everybody in magic can do those three.
At that point, he's just Green Lantern with more steps, isn't he? You know, he's just making that's a Green Lantern with more work.
It doesn't become like a MacGuffin. So So then, like, the magic users started like attacking directly the governments, like creating disasters, and the world went down the tubes until they ended up with two factions, which were like the Golden Mean and the Southern Cross. And these two guys came to a head in a battle in Chetumal, Mexico, and 80% of the magic users died. And it created a wave around the world that basically sent the world to a world that looks like Mad Max. So nobody trusts the 20% of magic users that survive. Nobody trusts them. And if you live in a city, you're controlled by this AI made by the UN called Lore. And or you pay attention to what Lore says, or you live in squalor. So this is the beginning of our story. Like,
that's fantastic. I feel like you've also got a lot of links to, not to get all conspiracy theory, but stuff that people are talking about now, like current events. Without being political, you're putting your finger on the pulse of a lot of stuff that's going on, this whole globalization type thing, the efficacy of the UN or not, as the case may be, AI and digital overreach, all that sort of stuff. You're touching on all that sort of stuff without saying, hey, vote who I vote for.
Yeah, exactly.
Being relevant.
I have no interest. I live in Panama. Like, nobody knows our president. And I want to keep it that way.
We don't even have a president.
Yeah, and we wish we didn't.
So basically the tone is very somber, but the story itself, it's like Cheech and Chong meet Mad Max.
Okay.
Because these two guys are like magic users. They're very powerful, but they have a blue collar mindset. Like the red guy who controls fire is called Miguel or Mike, and he was a cab driver before like his powers manifested. And Juanca, or Johnny, I guess, he was an insurance salesman before he could control gravity. So after the war, like, they can go back to their old jobs. They do what they can to survive. So they make a construction company, and that's the beginning of the story. So this truck over here is where they live, and they go from town to town looking for odd jobs, but all the towns that live in squalor. So if you don't listen to Lore, you look like this, and your town looks dilapidated. And
man, I'm vibing with everything you're putting down. I feel like if somebody set out to make a comic that would tick all my boxes, this is it. You know,
awesome,
man. I'm really, really digging it, and I love the art style. I love the Mad Max atmosphere. I love the like you said, Cheech and Chong, the blue collar mindset. I really like characters like practical, salt of the earth, down to earth characters. As opposed to people with big floating ideas, because if someone's got these big philosophies and they're fighting for truth and justice and righteousness, that's all good and well. But when just a regular bloke picks up a wrench and stands up and says no further, that is really powerful. So if you've got some blue collar dudes fighting for ultimately what is right in their eyes, that's something I want to get on board with, man. You're selling this to me hard.
Oh, thank you. So I mean, I've always shown like the first the 6 pages of the book, so you can get like the flavor. So they've been hired to do something for this town, but the townspeople don't know, so they come like guns out to kick them out, and then the town elder says like, "Oh, no, I called them."
Oh, okay.
So they're supposed to fix this bridge. So the gravity guy does everything, and he's always like the cheerleader. He only welds as a fire user. So Juan is always doing the work, and this guy collects, and he should collect because he has like 5 kids with 3 women. So that's part of the story too.
Again, down to earth, regular bloke.
Exactly.
And I love that dynamic. How one's doing all the work, the other one's like, "Hey, let's go get paid now." He's like, "You didn't even do anything. How are you getting half the money?" Like,
exactly.
Look, you wouldn't even have this job if it wasn't free. Let's not argue. The job's done. Let's go get paid. There's so much great stuff you can do here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a dynamic, basically. And now this girl here, which I have to admit, I got inspired by Akira here. This is the fulcrum of the story at the beginning, like, and the recruitment of the guys into the call to action is very like brutal because it's not really altruistic; it's monetary.
Okay.
So,
well, you said that you had to admit that you got some inspiration from Akira. You could do worse than being inspired by Katsuhiro Otomo.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be drawing from.
Yeah.
That's right.
So as she traverses through the bridge, this robot, which is like her bodyguard, she's called Nanny, destroys the bridge. So
look at their faces.
Yeah, they're not getting paid anymore. And like he's trying to laugh in his face, but then he says like, "No bridge, no payment." It's like, whoa, what?
It's not funny anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the start. They chase them after, and she basically hires them, but they don't really know what's happening. And I always show it up to this because I'm not giving that much away from the story. Like you'll enjoy what's next. And I always show it this. This is the antagonist of this first book. These are called the Children of Chaos, and these are humans. Even the skull here, they're humans who are plugged into lore. And they're awakened by lore because she feels the pulse of 3 magic users in the same place, and that's supposed to be like danger. So these are the guys who are gonna hunt them. And this lady here is the mother of spiders, Arachne. The skull has the voice of a kid. It's called Orthrus, the father of titans. And this guy is Agriopas, the first assassin. And basically, these guys are going to chase our heroes. They don't know yet, but eventually through the mission, like they'll get to fight this guy. So yeah, that's basically Tropical Magicks. I'm planning on doing 3 books, and it's going to be a real trilogy. It's not going to turn into 9 movies, Star Wars. Just 3 books, and it's going to be a finite story, and it's already all laid out. It's just if you guys give me your support, I promise I'll finish it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. I got to ask you, mate, is the first issue a self-contained story within the arc, or is it like it is?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Oh, great. I think more and more people are wanting to have one and done stories. And I was like, the company could be broken up into 3 acts, but moving forward, I really want to focus on having you back the book, you get the book, you pick it up, you read it from cover to cover, you go, cool, that's a finished story. There's links to the next issue or the next graphic novel or whatever ongoing naturally, but I want more and more people to be able to pick up and just enjoy a whole story and not have to wait a year for the cliffhanger to be resolved. So if you're putting that out as well, I'm loving it. And the pacing, and it seems like you've got it all worked out with the way that the bad guys are gradually introduced and they start pursuing the heroes, and the heroes don't even know they're being pursued. There's so much here that you're laying down that I'm picking up. This is really cool.
Yeah, it's like they're like I'm not leaving any unanswered questions, but obviously there's a little cliffhanger, like the story continues, but whatever happens at the beginning of the story is going to pay out by page 72. So
yeah, excellent.
Yeah,
all right,
and that's just good storytelling.
Oh, you got to try.
Oh yeah,
and 72 pages. That's commendable too.
It's good. Good effort.
Yeah.
So you say that's nearly done.
It's completely done, like colors, everything. It's only missing the lettering.
Just the lettering, so that can be done pretty swiftly.
Mm-hmm.
So then, when you launch, I imagine you're going to do a 30 and the 30, and then maybe go into in-demand. Is that how you plan to do that?
Yep. Actually, if we do well enough, I might not go into in-demand just to deliver the book. Like I want the first book out as soon as possible to see the reactions. If it's good, then we'll continue with this story. If not, then it will be back to the drawing board, right? So I'm looking more for feedback. If
you get funded within the first 60, and looking at this, I absolutely predict you will, then I would go ahead and go into in-demand until everyone gets it in their hand, because what happens then when people start opening it and saying, look what I got, this is beautiful, I love the production, I love even sometimes the packaging, I'm sure you're going to have some add-ons and things. So when people open that package and they show the excitement on Twitter and Facebook and wherever else on the socials, they may prompt some more people to buy the book. So I would say if you don't go into in-demand, you're leaving some money on the table. Now, I don't suggest you stay in demand indefinitely or for a really long time, but at least until you're ready to launch the next one. And then what you can do is you get another little bit of a push when you say, hey, Tropical Magicks #2, I'm about ready to launch that. I'm going to take the in-demand for #1 down. If you haven't gotten it yet, this is your opportunity to get it before I take it down. And sometimes you'll get a little bit of a boost at that point as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm going to say I've sold more copies of the Company Men since the PDF went out than I have in the last month before that. Once the PDF went out, people said this is good. It measures up to what you said it was going to be. You spent all this time doing all these review videos. Now you've proved you can write as well. That feedback's got around. I've sold more in the last week than I've sold the month before that. So definitely, like what Dojo's saying here, definitely take that. That's gospel. Take that to heart and think on that, because I think that'll be really profitable for you.
Yeah, dude, I'm willing to learn, man. Like as I said, I'm a neophyte. I've never done crowdfunding. I might sell lottery tickets once in my life, and that's the closest I've been to crowdfunding. Like I know nothing, so I'm here to learn.
Well, see, that's another great thing about this community is we're also here to help. A lot of us will, provide advice. We'll tell you the things that we learned during our campaigns. And, you can take a lot of that to heart, or you can just say, that was good. I'm glad that you experienced that and shared that with me, but I'm going to do it a different way. And that's fine too. However, whatever works for you. I'd like to take a minute to say hey to Crazy Mad, who joined us in the chat. I see that Dirk Clay is with us, and Muttman. So thanks for all being here, guys. And we appreciate that.
What's up, guys? So that's what I got about Tropical Magicks. I have like a lot of like concept art too. I don't know if you want to see some of that.
Well, first I wanted to ask you about the covers. It looks like maybe you've shown us 2 different covers. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
I'm chambering the because I might get a surprise cover by a very big CG artist, but I can't say anything yet.
Okay.
But
so here's my suggestion. Don't go any more than those 3.
Yeah.
And for my first campaign, I had 6 different covers, and that was a bit much. I wouldn't suggest that. Although I also know of somebody, Philip Russert, who had 23 covers for Tragedy.
Ouch.
And so many of them were beautiful. But then what happens is you get a little bit of decision paralysis because, I can't back 23 covers. I can back a few of them. So now I'm like, so what do I get? And I feel, so I got a few, but, I really wish that he had narrowed down those choices. So just keep that in mind as you get the third one. Maybe the third one is, well, I don't know. I was going to say a stretch goal, but that's not the same thing if you're going to put it on the same content. So what have you got here? This is concept art?
This is the first drawing I did. I was falling asleep on 2019. And this is this building in the center is a very famous building in Panama that's shaped like a screw.
Corkscrew?
Like a corkscrew, yeah. And I just picture it like how would it look like if a bomb went off in Panama? And I just went from that building and they get these 2 characters and thinking that was the beginning, but the story changed a lot. So
this is what his art looks like when he's not even fully awake folks. Imagine how great it is when he's concentrating on it.
Yeah. And then I did a lady that started as a redhead, and then I went Hollywood's way and made her Latino. But
you took away the red. Oh, see the changing
she's
of the ginger.
Yeah, she's gonna make an appearance later because I really like her, but she doesn't fit the story yet. And yeah, I just went like using my animation background to do the design. So this is Orthrus.
Oh, nice.
That's a big advantage, I guess, you got having come from that animation background. So many people, so many people I see don't get someone else to pitch in with the design. They send a design to their artist. The artist sort of just puts it straight on the page instead of really exploring that. And more and more, I'm seeing people point to get other artists to come on board and work with them like on a stream or something to work out what the design looks like, and then they finalize that design. They're basically paying that guy to come on and design the character for them. And because, you know, in animation and in video games and stuff like that, the silhouette of the character, how they stand out, how they look, you know, you can tell every member of the Justice League from one another. Now, that's just history and good luck that they all happen to be iconic looking designs. But these days, in the clutter that we've got, you need characters to stand out. And just from the ones that you flipped through and showed us then, I feel like each one had a really unique silhouette, and on the page, they're going to be really easy to recognize, and they're going to develop their own identity. And you need that strong branding to stand out from everyone else. So the fact that you're able to do that yourself, you don't have to bring other people in. Like on the center, I got Dean to come in and help me tweak the costume for the character, and we worked on that. We worked on that for months.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Well, you know, Allie has a good question, and that is, okay, but where are her organs?
Or her organs in a jar somewhere.
Are you bigots?
Yeah. So yeah, this is how he used to look before, and it was more of a video game design. And when I started writing the story itself, it just took me somewhere else, and the designs were not working for the story anymore.
Okay.
And that way went. That's why he went from this to this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a big upgrade in my opinion. Not there's anything wrong with the first one, but this next one, some things, you know, they look a certain visual style. When I was doing the backup material for the company, man, I said how Kelso tweaked all the designs and became a little bit more grounded, took away a few of those superheroic elements, made them just a little bit more realistic, a little bit more paramilitary. And when I look at the old sketches versus the new sketches, I think it helps fit the vibe of the story overall. The whole thing gels a lot better. And I think this design gels better with what you've described to me than what we saw in the first one. So I think you made the right choice there. Yeah,
that was the for example with Carla, which I started with this, I think. It was the first attempt, but she looked like she had baby fat on it. I don't know, like she looked young. So then I went J-Lo.
Classic.
Yeah, and it's
did you do a break the internet version? Did you do a Kim Kardashian version?
Yeah, that's in the works.
That's your third cover, brother, right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, as I said, like I did a lot of exploratory work before even starting putting the first panel on the page.
Yeah.
And like checking how the powers would work and whatnot, like what were they supposed to do. And
what's the way to do it? That way you're not making stuff up on the page. Imagine you sit down to draw page one and you're like, okay, what are these powers going to look like? The best worlds, the worlds that have got great world building, they've got like a world Bible that's been built up so that people can refer to it. Even if it's yourself, you can refer to it yourself and go, okay, that's how I said that was going to be. That's the limit that I've established in this world. I think when you do that, when you define the playground that you're working within, that you're playing within, you're always going to end up with a better product than if you blow the walls off and say, okay, anything goes.
Oh, yes. You know,
I'll die on that hill.
When you're doing this world building and you're introducing character after character, I've got, for example, in the Dojo Kun universe, I've got 154 characters right now. So I have to rely on something like Lee just said, and that is to go back and say, okay, now what was their civilian identity? And, you know, what did I say, you know, was the input? Oh, okay, there's the catalyst for their power. You know, sometimes it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that was a good idea. but it's good to go back and remind yourself sometimes what it was. So, you need these kinds of things. Some people refer to them as their Bible. Other people just say, you know, it's their source material. So
it's character studies. Like right now, it's character studies for the robot, which is this one here. this was the first drawing I did of him, which is also like more video game design, like something you would see like in the Ninja Turtles, like Turtles in Time side scroller.
Yeah, I love that game.
Yeah, right. But then it went from that. I think I did this guy, this pose sheet. Like what was he?
Yeah, as an animator, you have that advantage as well. You know about doing turnarounds. You know about pose. Examples. So yeah, this is great. And although the examples are probably for your own use, it's still good to have.
Hey Pedro, do you do that thing where people start with everybody works differently? I've seen people who start blocking out a silhouette, and once they've got you do that sort of thing, and then from there they go into the finer detail, but they establish that framework first.
I'm actually I'm a pencil and paper trained animator, so my process is more line of action, basic shapes, and then drawing through the form to find three-dimensionality, and then go into detail.
So there's a strong foundation. That's good.
Yeah, it's a different structure. Like sometimes, like working from silhouette, it's really, really good because you always end up with a strong pose. But since I'm always thinking about movement, I rather do it that way, even though it's like it takes me longer.
Well, I think the end results speak for themselves. You've got so much fluidity in the stuff that you've shown us. I mean, there's a great vibrancy and dynamicism that I don't see. There's so many guys out there doing 3D traced art, like they get their character. It looks stiff and looks bad. I've seen some pinups and I thought that looked great, and I look at it a bit closer. I'm like, no, that's 3D trace. That's not as good as I thought it was. There's a look at the way this guy is doing. He's doing the superhero pose. He's doing the Iron Man crouch pose. The Black Widow pose sort of thing. But there's and then you see the dust kicking up. There's a sense of motion there. I feel like I've just caught the last frame of a nice little animated motion. Somebody's just screen capped the last frame of that. If you can capture that motion in a still image, I think you're doing really well. I think you're ahead of the curve. You look at how much people love Narwhal's stuff with his like animation type background and the fluidity he's got in his style. I think people are going to go nuts for your stuff.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely, I would agree.
I can hardly.
You got to back it here. I'm in. I'm
awesome, man.
I'm back
that's great to hear, man. Let me see. No, the layouts are from the pages. I knew I had something else. Oh yeah, I'm planning on doing some cards, but that's still like very early stages. The graphic design is not where I want it to be. I'm gonna get a friend to do that for me because I'm horrible at graphic design. But
you're talking about the logo?
No, the logo I paid for that. And I mean, I'm always happy with that, but just the layout of the graphic design and then do like the power sets behind.
I see.
I want to do some like in-action cards for all the characters like that. I want to make that part of the campaign, and maybe a T-shirt just to keep it simple. I mean, I'm not based in the U.S. I'm using Critical Blast for distribution. So those are things, that's some things I have to discuss with RJ. To see what's feasible and what will keep shipping low.
You've got another person working with RJ right there.
Awesome.
He sold me his pitch a while ago, and it just made sense to me. Like, why go through all that stress? And I'm printing in the US and then shipping from the US to him. And from there, he's going to be distributing straight to because like 85% of all my sales were in the US. So why ship them from Australia and absolutely destroy my bottom line? Instead, I'm better off, that way. The unfortunate side of that is I got hit with the paper shortage issues with the printer I'm going through because it is in America. If it happened if I'd printed in Australia, I wouldn't have been hit with the paper shortage. But then I had to pay for the shipping. So, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah.
But I've heard nothing from RJ. Everyone says they love the way that he handles it. He's filled a bunch of campaigns now. Because Zach had a video on recently. I didn't look at it, but I looked at the comments. And a bunch of people said I got stuff from RJ and it was pristine every time. So that's a really good thumbs up.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things about RJ. Also, another thing I had to tone down because I got an editor.
That's cool.
It's the level of gore. It was very gory. In the beginning, but
wait, somebody told you to tone that down?
Yeah,
it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
No, I can tell you it wasn't Lee. So I wanted to back up a little bit. You don't have to change what's on the screen, but I wanted to mention that something that some people would like is what you just showed us a few minutes ago is the first incarnation of the character versus what they look like eventually, because a lot of people love that behind the scenes stuff.
Oh, okay.
So if you know, in my ash can for the shifter, which is coming out, I definitely have a lot of the behind the scenes sketches and colors and all that as things began. And I know that I'm a fan of that, and I've been getting some feedback from some other people along those same lines, that those, you know, the work in progress and how things evolved are things that people love to see.
I've done the same thing in the company, man. I got my initial sketch that I sent to Kelso that I drew with biro and colored in with colored pencils, put it on my fridge, photographed it on my phone, went to work where I was working at the time, got it from my phone to my email and emailed it to him, because where I was living, I didn't have any internet. We're so remote. I had to go to work and use, you know, so I was super budget basic. And I've got that picture. Then I've got his initial sketch. Then I've got my colored version. Then I've got his final pinup version of each character. So you see that progression for all the characters. I know that's the sort of stuff that the readers really, because that's the sort of stuff I love to see. Probably more than anything in the back of a book. I want to see concept sketches. I want to see the early versions of the character. I remember when Ben Reilly came out as Scarlet Spider, and they showed us Mark Bagley's different designs for him, like a half a dozen in the back. Those 2 pages were the most looked at pages of the whole issue. I just see what he did before they picked a final one, to see like the under the hood working of what's going on with such a talented artist. That for me, that was manna from heaven.
Yeah, these are like more like exploratory sketches. Like what, like the people who control gravity are called gravitars, and they used to have like a scepter, and then I eliminated the scepter and just turned it into their arms. But like they could bend gravity around themselves and basically compact, make things heavier, make things lighter. But it's just like exploring, and that silly uniform makes me want to puke now. But it's what it is. It is what it is. No?
You got so much good stuff here, man. You could almost even financially, I don't know how good an idea it would be. Like your 72 pages, that's a fairly hefty volume. That's a good sized book. You could even do like a whole supplementary book of just all this additional material, all these sketches. People would love this. People would flick for a smaller book. I don't know, 20, 30 pages of all these. Like, that looks great. That looks so good.
Yeah.
There's such nice gradations, lovely colors. You got this limited color palette there. You got the gray blues through to the lemon yellow. I love that page, man. Just put all this stuff in the one book and put it as a stretch goal or something.
A stretch goal or an add-on, because I think it would sell.
Yeah, it would. This is Miguel doing like a narration from his past life as a cab driver.
Okay.
And drinking while driving, because that was done in Panama for a couple of years, and and then this, like, he was dreaming, and the taxis like all busted up, and this is like the busted out city. Like, this is the past, but this is now. But I mean, the story changed a lot from here.
Okay.
So
people are going to want to see all this stuff, man. There's so much good stuff here. You've done so much groundwork. A lot of you can tell when people don't. You can tell when people just have like a vague idea. Angry vigilante fighting to clean up his city, and that's the extent of the idea. There's no motivation. There's no civilian identity. They put it up on Kickstarter. They make $2,500. They do 3 or 4 issues, and you think, why are you putting yourself through this? You can't be making any money. Why are you still doing this? You've clearly got heaps of background and stuff that you've worked out. People are going to love this. This well thought out extended universe that you've put together.
Yeah, so I don't know. I see it and I hate it, but yeah, this is what it was. And,
no, dude, don't hate it. This is gold here. People love to see this stuff, and like Lee said just a while ago, these have their own merit. And he's right. The final version of these characters, I think, are better, but there's still something good about the ones the first version you had. Oh, hey, Mo Biggs has joined us. Hail, Mo. Thanks for being here.
What's up?
G'day, Mo.
Mo's a good dude.
He is.
Yes. He makes the chat oftentimes.
He's usually the MVP in the chat. It's not the chat until Mo turns up, I like to say.
So yeah, this was like the first attempt, and I think that stopped at page 5, telling like the original story. But this is like strictly based in Panama. Like, these are like sites within Panama City. And I mean, that had its merits, and this is like a Panama, but San Isidro is a neighborhood. kind of dangerous.
I'd put all that in, and I'd even have like little blurb boxes on there saying, if you were from Panama, this would be a really familiar site. I wanted to, draw links between my world and the book itself. I wanted to represent the world, all that sort of stuff. Little speech box, little narration boxes all over it saying this. I did this for this reason. What goes on in between your ears is what the people want to know. Why you made the decisions you made and why you changed that decision later on. They love hearing that stuff, seeing the unseen, seeing the hidden history of the work that they've come to enjoy.
For example, this power I took away because I just thought it was too much. Like gravitators were able to teleport. They basically do wormholes.
Makes sense though.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, it was like too overpowered. So no, they can't do that anymore.
So you redefined the limit on that. Okay, that's.
I'm laughing because one of the company men, his only power is to teleport, like his whole.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but the thing is, like within the parameters of the story you want to tell, like having a power that breaks the conflict. Yeah. So like teleporting was too much in the.
There's like a few people have said, like if you had your typical D&D wizard, Dungeons and Dragons, and you put them in a medieval era, in a medieval war, they would break the world.
Oh,
think about like, we need to tell the king that the generals marched through the night and he's turned up here. We need reinforcements. It's going to take 2 days to get there, 5 days for him to get back. No, teleport. He knows he's back. Here we go. Let's go. Yeah. It changes the whole face of the world.
For example, like here's a picture of San Isidro, like in Panama. It's really dilapidated part of the city. So I took that as a cue.
That's where you drew the inspiration for the dilapidated city. I thought perhaps maybe you visited Detroit. So
you don't need to get out of Panama to see destruction. You can see it right here. That's the thing. Like, there was a lot of back studies that were thrown out the window once the story started taking shape. It's just like this. I don't know if you're a fan of Kurosawa, Akira Kurosawa.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about. The westerns.
Yeah. So he has this movie called The Hidden Fortress, and The Hidden Fortress, that's a blueprint for C-3PO and R2-D2, but it's two peasants. So the story is told through the eyes of these two guys, and this is epic, like daimyos and samurais and just like very powerful people doing what they do in Japan. But it's just the experiences through these two guys who are just peasants, like the lowest of the low, and they just witness all this stuff. And it's like a blue collar view on these awesome events. So I love that dynamic. So that's what I wanted to do with these guys. And this wasn't happening on this first attempt. Like these guys were just like really powerful and just like there was no motivation for conflict, So that's why I abandoned it.
It's to your credit that you're able to see that it wasn't working. You weren't hitting what you wanted to hit. And you could take that step back and reassess. And we're willing to, what did you say, you got up to page 8? Is that what you said?
Yeah, around page 8. Yeah.
To think that you're able to put aside 8 pages of solid work and start all over again, like that says to me you're a serious creator. You care about what you're doing. You love the world that you've made and you want this to succeed. Like good enough wasn't enough for you. You wanted to go beyond good enough into excellent. I'm really impressed with your work ethic, the amount of work you put into it beforehand, and the fact that you're willing to walk away from it when it wasn't coming together and start again because you knew you could do better. That's the sort of mentality we need from creators. Not here take this 10 pages of political diatribe and you'll like it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is a discarded cover. Like I'm not going to use this one, so I might put it somewhere. Like I don't know.
Put it in the back of put it in the book, put it in the pin-up section, put it in its own book, art of the world of tropical magics or something, or, the history of tropical magics or the process, something like that, and just have all this, you've got so much material here, brother. You've got a whole other book here.
Absolutely. A supplemental comes to mind all the time. Yeah. This would be fantastic.
I haven't finished this one bit.
Or should I say phenomenal?
Phenomenal. I need a BB now.
Right.
Yeah. I think those of us that draw, I can draw, not amazing. I'm like, I got 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. I'm better than most, not as good as I'd like to be. Those of us that draw forget how amazing our stuff looks to the normies. Like people who can't draw, people who don't draw, they do other stuff. when they see your casual sketch, their mind's blown. You say, no, this is garbage. It's going in the bin. Like, no, can I have it? Don't throw it out. That looks so good. Like, you're your harshest critic, brother. And I'm telling you, there's some great stuff here. And the people who buy the book and the fans and the backers will love to see any of this stuff. You've got dozens of pages of material. Don't rob them of it. Let them see it.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, even if you distributed it as like a digital supplemental, that's not ideal. I think people prefer to have it in their hands. Like the Dojo said, they'd pay for it. But at the bare bloody minimum, give them a PDF of all this stuff in their email when they get the physical version. But I would listen to Dojo and I'd charge them for it because it's good enough.
I'd rather go with print. Like I'm old enough to not trust digital. Like, I don't know. The things that I don't want to bash people who do digital, but I'd rather do print, so.
Sure. Well, there's something to be said for digital. Some people like to be able to take it on their mobile device. Some people want to avoid shipping, because it's just so expensive nowadays. But I'm one of those that I'm very tactile. I loved the PDF that Lee sent to me. I've already read The Accompaniment, Dead, White, and Blue. But I can't wait to have the book in my hand, too. Even though I've already read it, I want the book.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a big advantage for me, having been delayed, again, because of the paper shortages. Just keep pointing out that's not my fault. The fact that I had the digital, it's not my fault. We had the book ready a month ago. What?
Yeah.
The fact that I had the digital to give to people and say, hey, here you go. It's done. It's real. It exists. I'm just waiting for some more paper. My printer's got a backlog. It'll happen. It's happening soon. I'll let you know as soon as I know. But the fact that it's there and they can see it, there's a big advantage. And people aren't calling me out saying, oh, you're just another CG not delivering on time. They know that it exists. So it was a real quiver in my arrow in my quiver to have in this tough time.
So I see in our chat that Crazy Mad has a distinct opinion about digital. He says digital is ass.
Okay.
Thanks, Crazy Mad.
Oh, dude! Like I'm finding things I haven't seen in months, man. Like,
we want to see all these things. So definitely think about putting them in a supplemental book, dude. You'd be surprised how many people will back that as an add-on or, a part of a tier if you combine that book with this one, that kind of thing. I see that all the time.
Yeah, you can make like a nice concept art book.
Yes.
The world of Tropical Magicks. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've got artist friends that have got whole libraries just of concept arts. The Witcher TV show, every Star Wars movie, every Lord of the Rings, and they got like the art of Star Wars, the art of Lord of the Rings. And they got whole books behind me, but just a whole library of concept art stuff. People love that stuff. Again, it's the secret history of you love this thing and you want to know more about it. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it's done. And there's no fourth Lord of the Ring movie. That's it. So what do? You look at how they made it. You look at information about the props and the materials, and you go deeper into the lore and into the history of the world itself. You've got a chance to give those people, and with this stuff, you'll make fans into super fans. You'll turn backers into lifelong backers. That's really got to be the goal. So, not to harp on about it, we've said our piece about it, but I think you've got a huge advantage here over just about anybody else that's launching Kickstarter crowdfunders last year or this year. I don't see anybody else with this much material, supplementary material.
Yeah. Oh, I have to clean this up a bit, but this is so their van's called Lucille, and it's another character within the because they're really fond of their van. Like they live in their van.
I see.
So yeah, that's she's one of the motivations of that moved the story forward. So yeah, I might finish this one.
Definitely looks like it would be interesting. You want to make a print out of that or something?
Yeah, probably. I might do like a small peanut book, put it as a stretch goal.
Okay, there you go.
That could work. Yeah. And yeah, it could be like a 16-page peanut, because I can finish the artwork, no problem. So yeah,
I think that's something that's sort of a big hit lately has been the ash can, whether it's truly ash can sized or if it's comic book size. The ash can is a big hit lately.
I think it dovetailed nicely into the sort of a mini movement within CG and crowdfunding in general, away from tchotchkes. Not to say they're good or bad, not casting my die on that thing, but there was just a group of people saying, hey, I've got enough stickers, I've got enough bookmarks, I've got enough bottle openers. Like Nualam's lighter that you get, if you sign up, that's a really great, unique sort of one. But people said, look, I've had enough of this stuff. It's cool, but what I'd really like to see, more pages.
More content. Yes, absolutely.
Again, I'm not saying don't make stickers. I'm just saying there was a contingent of people that said, that's cool, but can we have more content, more pages?
I mean, I own 9 guitars right now, and all my cases are full of stickers. So yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not saying no more stickers, but yeah, like ash cans or like supplemental books would be a nice like change of pace.
Agreed.
So
and you can do the lost pages thing that the Diaz brothers did, where they're using that supplement. This is so clever. They're using supplementary material to introduce new characters. And I see you do a bit of that, Dojo. Like you got so many characters. You've got different characters introduced in backups and in side stories and stuff. Like you got such a diverse world, such a broad world. You can bring these other links in. And I think there's two really smart models. I want to look to start doing more of that myself. Having these smaller backup stories of the new character. You go, hey, I really enjoyed reading about character X, but that character Y in the backup, that was really cool. Can I get a book on him? Yes, you can.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to hear that kind of backup or feedback. I meant if somebody saw this ash can that I sent out with Siamese and they liked Black Eagle and Red Hawk, if they would let me know that, then I'll know that I can write a story with those two characters in it, and it'll be well received.
And that's how so many characters got their start back in the day, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when the only way to communicate with, say, Marvel Comics was through the letters column. They'd get overwhelming. People say, hey, we love Captain America, but really, really cool to see Falcon having his own adventures, his own backup stories. So they give Falcon his own solo title for a while. Moon Knight get his own solo title for a while. Punisher. But they said, we love this Punisher character. We want to see more of him. Nobody said, hey, that crazy guy at the skull that tried to kill Spider-Man, let's give him his own book. The fans said, we want to see more of this guy, and they picked it up. And now look, now Punisher's a household name.
Right.
So you've got to listen to the fans. They know. They've got the fingers on the pulse. And any creator that says, I don't want to listen to the fans and that their ideas and their takes are toxic, stay away from that creator, because they don't want to make money and they don't want to be successful.
Yeah. And more than likely, he thinks you're a bigot.
I am, but I mean, that's not his business. It's got nothing to do with him.
Yeah, exactly. So these are the UN soldiers. Like they make an appearance on the book too. And
is that is that like a chappy like bot soldier?
Yes.
Yes, I love that concept. The fact that there's that scene in Elysium where Matt Damon's like, "Look, I will acquiesce. I will do what you've told me to, bot soldier, but I just need to do this thing first." And I think they bust him and drop him on the floor. Like they put him face down on the floor and put a gun to the back of his head or a boot on him, and he's just like, with a human, you might be able to say, "Hey, can I just grab my kid before you hustle me off to the cabs?" But with the robot, there's no chance. There's no chance at all. And there's
no negotiation. Yeah,
man, it scares me. It's saying about same with Sentinels. I remember I think Cyclops said with the other enemies, Apocalypse, Magneto, whatever, you can negotiate with them. Maybe you can reason with them. Yeah. The Sentinel doesn't listen. And I say the same thing about like vampires and zombies, and a vampire, maybe you can negotiate with him. A zombie's just going to eat you. Werewolf just going to eat you. That's scary.
Well, I don't know. It depends on the kind of vampire. Because if you go for the Peter Cushing like 70s vampire, like good evening, like those are you can negotiate with them. But if you go like 30 Days of Night vampire, like that's a beast.
Yeah, they are. There's as much an animal as a werewolf or any other sort of zombie.
Yeah, like I see no like negotiation. This is another key character that's on the first book. So he's a Gravitar and a Kingpin. So he's like a mafia boss.
Oh, okay.
And so
a Gravitar. I like that. Yeah. What are the fire wielders called?
Ignar.
Ignar?
Oh,
okay,
cool.
Like Ignition. What about the water benders or water users?
Aqua.
Yeah.
Masagua.
That gives me it gives me real Final Fantasy vibes. You know how like they have Firaga for the three levels, that sort of stuff. Like as opposed to just calling it Fire 1, Fire 2, Fire 3. So it's a little verbal quirk. I don't know if it's based off any real actual language, but I always appreciated that. It's just a little bit of in lore, a little bit of in world building. That's so much better. Like no mage would say, "Hey, I need you to cast Fire 3." Like that's not how people talk, is it?
Firaga.
That's right. Yeah. But if you put the accent on it, it sounds very, very cool. So
there's another attempt at the logo, but then I quit. I tried doing logos, but
it's not.
It's a real skill. I do like that actually. It's really solid. And I would say to people, if you're not confident with it, you don't have history with it, maybe definitely go get a logo dude to do it for you. Yeah. I had Bob Stone to the Company Men logo, and it's consistently one of the most positively commented on things about the whole book. People say, yeah, man, cool book, but I love that logo. Like, and the funny thing is, I went in there saying, hey, I want this. And he says, no, you don't. You want that. And he gave me something completely different. I wasn't happy. I said, man, that's not what I asked for. He goes, no, just sit on it for a bit. The next day I come back and like, you're right. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, I love it. It's like, I want this. And said, no, you don't.
No, you just think you do. You think you do because you saw somebody else do it and it worked for them. That's not going to work for you. This is what you need. And he knew. So check out a good logo and work with Knobside Bot at the moment. He's really good as well. He's really on it. He's giving me constant feedback, constant sketches and bits and pieces. Like, yeah, I know that he's taking it seriously and he's putting the time in on it.
Yeah, so speaking of the Company Men, guys, what we're going to do is we're coming up to the top of the hour. So what I'd like to do is share my screen here.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing now.
I'm going to go to...
Thank you so much for the opportunity, man, to talk Tropical Magicks. This is the first time I've spoken in depth about it.
Oh, great. I'm glad that you did it here then, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man.
So here's the Company Men, Dead, White, and Blue. It is still in demand, and it just floors me that this is still under 10 grand.
Me too. We've come so close to hitting 10 grand a bunch of times, then Biden implements another policy, and the Australian dollar takes a hit and I lose $400 or $500. Like I've gotten
really?
Yeah, 9,800 so many times. And then he does something and I lose like $1,000. It's insane how much this campaign is just all, because I've got to do it in Australian dollars because I'm based in Australia. So the US dollar changes. Like the Australian dollar doesn't matter. It's still like 15,000 Australian. But every time the exchange rate changes, my 15,000 Australia is worth less American. So now it's
right. Yeah. Looking at it here, I think that you've got a $5,000 redo goal, and you've got, it looks like the value converted from 12,562 now.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. So folks, if you haven't had a good look at the Company Men, Dead, White, and Blue, I mean, look, just this page alone should sell you. This is the art is fantastic. The color, I love the color palette on this book. I mean, I've seen it digitally, just like we're looking at it here. I can't wait to have it in my hand. Like I mentioned, it's a great story. Lee also put a lot of thought into his world building. So definitely give this a look if you haven't already, and consider backing it. If you don't back it, at the very least, tweet it out there because it's still in demand and still available.
Yeah. And like I said, it's about eyes on the campaign. You get as many eyes on as possible. A retweet is invaluable. Chucking it up on Facebook,
right.
And a share on Facebook, get a screenshot. I don't know how Facebook works. I'm boomerang it now. I'm better on Twitter. But I've got a sell-through rate of about 4 to 5%. So like roughly 1 in every 20 people that look at the campaign ends up backing it. That's a pretty good sell-through rate. Like that's high. That's high. I'm happy with that. If I could maintain that, but that requires more people seeing it who haven't seen it before. And I just get some randoms just hitting me up saying, hey man, I was backed your campaign. It looks really, really cool. I've never heard of you before. I've never heard of his book before, but it looks like my sort of thing. That's what I need. Is just
those are great to get. Yeah. I mean, certainly, backers who know you are phenomenal because they are supportive and encouraging. But to get the rando that comes in and says, "Hey, I don't know who you are, but this is cool. I backed you." It's like, oh, sweet.
I sold 2 copies.
It's
dentist appointment every 6 months. You got a dentist checkup. And I sold a copy to my dentist at the time. And then when I come back for a 6-month checkup last week, he'd left and gone somewhere else, and a new dentist come on. And the old dentist left a note on my file that I was working on a comic book. And the new dentist goes, the last guy said that you were working on a comic book. What's that about? And he had a screen right there connected in. I said, well, chuck it up and I'll show you. He ended up buying a copy too. So I really believe if people can just see it and go, that looks cool, man, that's the sort of thing I want. I know it's not for everybody, but for the people that it is for, they just got to see it to know they want it. If they don't know it exists, they can't buy it off me. So if you can just share this out, guys, that'd be a big help. We're more than halfway through to issue 2, and it's going to be 100% fully done, colors, letters, everything before we go live, because I don't want a repeat of what happened this time around. So you'll be able to back with confidence when the next campaign goes live.
Excellent. I think even without that, we could back with confidence. I think you can be counted on, and I can tell you that this is a very well written book. So
thank you. That's when I hear, like, people say the art's great. It is. Kelso's phenomenal. When people say, hey, the writing's good, see the dog loves
right. Another corner heard from. All right, great. Both of you, Lee and Pedro, I want to say thank you so much for being on the show. It was definitely entertaining. The hour went by very quickly. So, thanks for coming on to share, Pedro. You've definitely got a backer here in Dojo. It sounds like you got a backer over there in Kimosabi. So, look at that. You've already started getting backers. You haven't even started the launch yet.
Awesome.
And be visible, man. Turn up in the chat, say g'day, DM me, hit me up once you go live. I'll retweet it as often as I can.
Awesome.
Dean and I do a show. We're happy to have creators come on. Like, it's usually a cringe show, but we're happy to have creators who don't mind associating with us come on and spruik their book as well. So just be seen. Hit me up whenever you're available. Make something happen. All right. Whatever audience I've got, you've got access to.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And of course, to the chat, thank you for hanging out with us. I know that there are often many streams going, so I appreciate your time. For those of you who watch it on the replay, I also appreciate you. Every bit of the watch gives more eyes on these awesome creators' projects. And we love having you here on the Dojo Kun Shill Shack. Until next time, then, everybody take care.
Take care, guys.